Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to Amazon'sFitMag.com. The podcast is brought to you by GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because a photo's worth 1,000 words, video's worth 1,000,000. GPSPhotoandVideo.com. Joining me on the podcast, back on the podcast, she's on the September 2022 issue of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. She is Miss Masters Olympia, Reshanna Boswell.
Thank you.
Good to have you back on. How you been feeling so far?
I feel good. I feel good. We start prepping a couple more weeks. So yeah, I'm just kind of finishing up off season, and we're in a good spot. I mean, we're in a very good spot. This has probably been the best kind of progress season I've had to date. So yeah, I feel really good about what we're going to bring to the stage, and actually looking forward to starting prep. So we got like I said, we got 2 more weeks.
The last Miss Masters Olympia or Masters Olympia was in Spain, right?
We were in Cluj. We were in Romania.
Cluj, Romania. Okay. So now you're traveling all over the place. This time going to Japan.
Yeah.
Flights a little bit longer. Yeah.
I think it's like, I mean, you can get I just started looking because I was like, oh Lord, this is going to be, but it's about 15, 16 hours. So, I mean, Cluj was 14. Okay. London was like half of that. London was like 8 or 9, but Cluj was already 14. So, yeah.
So now will you be able to get a straight flight out of Chicago, or where will you be?
No, I can get a straight flight out. Yeah. So if I go straight through, which would be, now that's the only thing I'm debating on. Because even with Romania, it was 8 hours, and then I had like a 2-hour layover in Germany, in Munich, and then we went the rest of the way. So I'm like, do I want to do a whole 15 straight, or do I want that little, break to walk around? So we'll see. Whatever makes the most sense. I'm going to go in a couple of days early just to kind of get acclimated, especially with, just being completely different. So yeah, I'll probably fly out that Tuesday or Wednesday to give myself some time. Shows Saturday. Yeah. So just really starting to put the plan together now as far as dates and what looks, what we need to be doing. So.
Was water retention an issue last time? Is it an issue? What goes into that? You definitely want to arrive early, but how do you combat that? Because every year is different, and your body's always feeling different.
I mean, honestly, I usually try and go in a couple of days early. But like with this last year, I mean, I had an issue going to for the Elena Popa show, and we had a couple flight delays. So that 14 hours turned into 30 plus hours before I actually got there. So yeah, that was rough. It was a whole day and a half later before I actually got there. And I remember checking in and messaging my coach, and he's like, okay, well, don't go to sleep. You got to go work out. We got to work this. We got to work this off. So, for what we had to work with, I mean, I think we did a damn good job of drying out in time. You do what you got to do. So,
and you being a seasoned professional, you know what to do with those competitors that's just starting out. Can struggle with it.
Yeah, and even and honestly, even just leading up to it, like once when you miss that first flight, it's like you start panicking, and you could just feel the stress level. Like, okay, I did. I talked to my wife, I talked to my coach, I talked to my best friend, just to help keep me. And everyone's in different time zones. I'm just trying to, and I talked to everybody just to help keep me calm and not to let it overwhelm me, and just stay calm. I guess the biggest thing is just stay calm. My coach is like, once you get there, I'll take it from there. I just need you to get there. So it was like just being reassured, so that they talked me through the whole process, really, if I'm being honest. So, yeah.
It's always different flying overseas. But this year, flying is especially unique. We'll say that. With the number of challenges, crashes. I'm like, look,
Right, this is probably the wrong time to be flying in general. It's rough right now, but I'm just
so. And you at one of the busiest airports in Chicago, so that's really crazy. When you look at this year, every season is different. You talk about goals, how you feeling going into 2025. What's the theme? What's the agenda? We know what
I mean, I don't think it's Tokyo for me. That's my first show. I don't think there's any secret as far as that. Masters Olympia is the goal, and frankly, my plan is to win that, and then that's my qualifying show for the Olympia.
Right.
And then we can kind of I'll probably do something else, before the Olympia. But the plan is to win Masters again and qualify for the Olympia, and then we'll go from there after that. But that's that's where the focus is pretty much right now. We had a little bit longer off season. We
Mm-hmm.
contemplated doing a show beforehand, but I just think for the sake of my mental and being completely
Mm-hmm.
focused on this show and as big of a show as this is for me,
Right.
that's where I need to focus. And there's several shows afterwards if for whatever reason the universe doesn't agree with my plan. So, you know.
And I was going to ask you, were you going to do a show, or would you do a show earlier than Tokyo, or earlier than the Masters? And you already mentioned after, because the early shows, it just takes longer for women's bodybuilding to get revved up. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
saw that in the Triple O last year, and the earlier shows in Toronto, and what have you. Um, any thoughts on that? Because I mean, the field is what it is, but when
Mm-hmm.
you talk strategy and opportunity, get that qualification and knock someone off early.
I go back and forth, and I've done shows earlier in the year. We played around with it. Um, I mean, I probably competed later in the year last year,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of toyed around with that, and it was like, hey, do I do a show now? I don't know. I feel like the Triple O is actually going to be a very good show. I think it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
probably bigger than it was last year, I suspect.
Yeah,
And
it's the
just with
second year of
the
it. Yeah.
caliber of athletes that are going to be doing that show, and I think that's the thing too. Like a lot of those athletes that are doing it, they took off last year. So you do have a group that have taken off the last year or 2 years that are now
Mm-hmm.
quote, fresher and haven't competed. So they're ready to do some of the earlier shows too, I think. So,
Yeah.
I think there's a kind of that aspect of it too. So I'm looking forward to Triple O. I think it's going to be a good show. I think with the prize money being there, that's just a bigger initiative to get, even if you were on the fence about doing it, having that type
Yeah.
of prize money just definitely makes it more worthwhile. See more of that, then I might actually contemplate doing a show early. So
There you go. There you
if we're
go.
being honest, you bring the prize money. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I
it
promise
just
not to
is what it
disappoint, but
is.
like,
And ideally, the promoter, obviously, Miss Olympia. So that's always great to support her as well.
hmm
And you talk about early shows. Chelsea Dion is back after a year. Teresa
hmm
Vancic's going to defend her title,
right,
and so
yep.
it's going to be great. But in your case, you got a show right there in the Chicago Pro, but you're gonna go all the way to Japan. I mean, that's the home game. That's you ain't got to get on
Well,
no
I mean,
plane.
it would be right. Do I do both? Tokyo, we're
Yeah, no,
doing because we're going because that's
yeah,
we have to do that one. But I know everyone's like, did you do? I'm like, I've done Chicago in the past. It's one of those like, do I do it? And a lot of it is
right.
timing for me too, and a lot of it does come down. It's show preference, it's timing. How much
Hmm.
time do we need in off season? And Chicago is a big show, so it's like I'm not going to be getting on stage just because it is my hometown and not look
Right.
as good as absolutely everybody else on stage, if not better. So like I
Yeah.
always have to be, you have to be that, do that, that part too. So it's like, could I pull something together and get ready in 8 weeks? Absolutely, of course I could.
Yeah.
But
And it's right
is that
around the
really what I
same
want to do?
time frame. I'm just saying.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. And then Atlanta is 15, 16 July. So I'm like, you're gonna be right there. Just saying.
We'll see. Well, I mean, I feel good about how we're starting prep. I said we got 2 weeks, and then we'll go from there. Me
Yeah.
and my coach have talked about it. We've gone back and forth a few times, so we'll see. We know what the biggest show on hand is, and if we can find
Yeah.
something right after that, then we'll
Yeah.
do that too. So we'll see. No more than 3 shows a year is really what I'm shooting for. I try not to do more than
Yeah.
3 or 4 shows a year, just to make sure that we're peaking properly and not trying to do too much, and being mindful of everything too. So
And
yeah.
that's a good balance. And for some of the young competitors,
hmm
they try to do show after show, and you could
Yeah.
say that's balance between divisions with bikini and wellness. Maybe not going to take so much out of you, but
Right.
everybody can hit that wall.
hmm
And so
Whether it's
I
mental or
like that
physical,
number.
honestly. I mean, mental or physical, really. It's
Yes.
yeah.
And like I say, you already cut it 3 and that's it. But if some will do 4 and it's late, in the season, they'll keep going. And then, okay, then you get that qualification for the Olympia, but there's no more gas left in the tank. So,
hmm Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been in there and I've done 7 or 8 shows a year. I think my maximum year was 8 in women's physique. And that was
wow,
looking back on it now, and I'm like, Jesus, I mean,
8?
and that was a lot. Um,
Yeah.
so now honestly for me, I would say 4 max. And usually my preference is that first show out the gate should be an
Hmm.
open show and I win. And then that's my qualification, do
The
Rising
walk off.
Phoenix,
Yeah.
do the Olympia, and done. That's 3 shows. I did 4 this last year, and that was a lot for me. And that was
Hmm.
just Rising Phoenix, and then we tried to get the qualification with the 3 shows right after Rising Phoenix. Now, those were back to back shows for me, and that was about my max. I mean, we,
Yeah.
to still keep everything tight and everything, that we did. So.
And it's always a great place to be in to already be qualified. And when you talk about the top 3 across each division, they're just sitting there making a plan.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
other times you can overthink, but it's probably the best position to be in because you already got the qualification, and then you just got to get ready and you know you can overplan, but it's
Yeah.
always good to have that full year to
Mm-hmm.
do what you need to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, that's like with Andrea. I mean, Andrea doesn't have to go out and do a bunch of shows. I mean, she's qualified. She
No.
knows she's got to hold her title. There's no point. I mean, really trying to maintain your physique is the hard part there, and
Mm-hmm.
just and maintaining and doing all the other promo stuff and still being on point and while you're in the travel that she does. So it's like at a point, it's like yeah, you do a couple shows, but it is about being strategic and being smart and not overdoing it early for no reason when you really don't have to. So
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, definitely.
And then the balance of it is, and you yourself being an entrepreneur, family, how do you find the balance? And I know we talked about this before, but as now another year goes by, is it getting harder? Is it getting more challenging? Or have you finally, okay, I figured out a great plan, and this is what works, and this is what doesn't work?
I feel like I have a great plan. I think every year it gets not easier, but I get more understanding. I don't
Mm-hmm.
coach hop. I've been with the same coach. Me and Eric have been together now. Me and Sharonica have been together for a while.
Yes.
I still work with Monique Jones. That's been the case for the last
Mm-hmm.
3-4 years. I like the circle of people that I have around me, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel the need to really change that. It works. I mean, and even when I look at last season, I'm like, last season to me was a subpar season because I didn't make the Olympia. But you also get 3 second place finishes, so you're like, what? There's this weird like, you're not doing horrible,
Right.
so you're still in the game, and that's always the case. I'm always going to be somewhere in the mix. So like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as far as training. I mean, I train heavy, but not heavy. But like, if you saw me, you'd probably be like, yeah, that's heavy, but not
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not a power lifter, and I know that. So
Yeah.
I found a good balance with how I lift and being, and controlling the weight and all that kind of stuff too. Same thing with food. I mean, this is the heaviest I've been in off season, but my waist is about the same size as it was all last year. It's like that didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
I've just gotten smarter with the food and just the training overall. So yeah, I think it's just getting more understanding as the time has gone on. So yeah.
And it's all about the end game and time. And a lot of competitors just aren't patient enough, not just in the world of bodybuilding with everything, but you got to play the long game. And when
Mm-hmm.
you plan it out, I mean, and you're still beating the hell out of a lot of people too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're far from retirement,
Oh
in
yeah.
my
Oh
opinion,
yeah.
because it's a thing of well, you're still placing high, still one of the
Right.
best in the game,
Right.
still a perennial Olympian. Why would you stop?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's
Now,
up. Like, I honestly, I feel good. And even like me and Eric, we talked about it. And we talked about the second place finishes, and I'm like, that
yeah,
was. I mean, and it was kind of rough because you're like, okay, but it's like because then you get like 1 second, and you're like, okay, two. Now you're like you got 3 second play. Okay, now what's going on? So now it's we
hmm
kind of go back and it's like, okay, but we did everything right. I think the physiques that we brought, I can and like I said, I'll compete against anyone. I don't care. I'll compete anywhere I want.
right,
I'll go
yeah,
anywhere I want. That's because that's what I like to do. I like to travel. So I don't really care if that's where you're from. I want to
yeah.
go. So so that's just that's just me and that's what I like to do. So will I do some shows here in the States too? Of course, but I go where I want. Like whatever I'm in the mood
No,
for. So
exactly. And
yeah.
you're at that point where hey,
Yeah.
I'm living the life that is
And
Olympic
honestly, in terms
bodybuilding.
of like bodybuilding, yeah, I'm like I would never go to Japan otherwise. I probably would
Yeah,
have never been to Romania otherwise. That
right.
bodybuilding has allowed me ways to travel. I mean, my wife's Puerto Rican. I took my family to Puerto Rico so she could see her family. Like that was like a family trip, and I won,
Yeah,
so it worked out great. So like
yeah.
it's like that kind of stuff too. So like that's it's important.
How long will you stay over to enjoy Japan? Because you don't just go overseas and be like, oh, coming right back. You know.
I know. Well, no, I planned it out. I am looking to stay a couple of days extra. I was trying to convince my wife to come with the kids, but she's like, that is a long flight. But I definitely plan on staying a couple of days. Like I've talked to some clients of mine, they're like, you need like an extra 2-3 days of just that, at least 3 days to do it. I'm like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right, you're right. So yeah, because I probably, I mean, there's no, yeah, I have to make the most of it. So
yeah.
yeah.
And of course, put this on Irish Kyle and to support her too, and all of
Hmm.
the women promoters. So that's what's great about it.
Hmm.
Do you see
I'm
yourself
really
being a
looking for
promoter
it.
one day? And I was going to say, do you see yourself being a promoter one day?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
something that you want to dabble in? Because I'm like everybody,
I'm really, it's funny because I'm so behind the scenes, and I've talked to Sharonic about that. I'm like, I'm really bad with social media. I could be so
Mm-hmm.
much better, and I should. And even with the following that I have, I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all. I would love if somebody could follow me around, and record for me. That'd be great. But like, who knows? Who knows what may happen in the next few years, the next 4 or 5 years, and I decide that I've had enough competing, and I want to get into some other stuff, or just starting to coach competitors more. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? I don't know. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. But I mean, bodybuilding has given me a lot, so I don't see myself removing myself entirely. Even when I'm done competing,
Right.
it'll always have a place. I'll always be involved. Fitness has just given me so much, and it changed my life really. So
Mm-hmm. And the thing I always see, anytime someone retires or they end their career, no matter the sport, no matter what they were doing in the industry, uh, you can't let them take that knowledge with them because it's so much to give.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what I see as young competitors and even young kids. Get around people that's been there, done that, instead of coming off thinking you know everything and you don't.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about that. I'm like, I remember when I first started competing and all the stuff I used to do, and Lord knows, it's like
Mm-hmm.
less is more, less is more. And as I get older, I do way less, way less. It's just you don't need to take all this, you don't need to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't. And it is the older I get, I'm like, yeah, no. I took 2 expel before the show. That's it. I didn't take anything extra. We
Right.
played around with some carbs. That's it. But you learn and you learn your body too. So it's like, yeah,
Right.
and hopefully you live to learn your body, and that's but I mean things, yeah. So
And you're already a coach and personal trainer, and
hmm
I know that's fulfilling. Do you have any competitors out there that you're training that no one knows about that's coming up? Is like, hey, you better watch this person, watch that.
I don't train a lot of competitors. I mean, I help some locally. I just have one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name names. Cause I don't know if she's ready for all that yet. But she's women's physique. She competed in figure a few times in
Yeah.
nationals. She's getting ready to do physique. And she actually reached out to me not too long ago, and she's like, "Hey, I've been following you for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So we finally just got together, meals, workouts, training. So
Right.
we'll see how it goes if she competes at the end of the year. So we'll
But
we'll definitely talk more about that. Yeah, for sure.
you
Yeah.
know, and you're right. You don't want to miss any names because once you're in it and somebody knows, oh, you're competing, then the whole spin up begins.
hmm
And they're
I
like,
do. I
so,
like the behind the scenes thing. I'm like, but just know that anyone
mm-hmm.
that I work with works as hard as I do. So
Oh yeah, no question.
that's fact. So
How hard is it to convince people that social media is the land of make believe? It's not real. I
no,
mean,
no. I try to be as honest as possible, but it's social media, guys. It's
yeah,
social media.
but they'll take it
Yeah.
and run with it, and
hmm
especially when everybody was doing all the comparisons, like that is not what you're gonna see at the show, but it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Instagram, it's social media, and people are still doing stuff for likes and this, that, and the third. But just know
Yeah.
it's social media, and it's good and bad. I mean, it's helpful and useful. I mean, if you're to get certain messages out, I mean, I use it as far as promotion and for business purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Yeah. Because
there's a
it's
lot of
free.
stuff. It's
Yeah, there's
good
a
and
plus
bad, and
to
it's
it.
free, exactly. So I mean, you're gonna get because it's free. You're also going to get a mixed bag of everything. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
When here's the difficult question. It's not a difficult question to ask, but it's an observation. The competitors out there aren't. Some of them really aren't competitors. They're influencers.
hmm
And when they get on stage, it ain't about that life. But they got all these followers and everything. And yeah, they getting all these sponsorships, and because you're such an influencer and you sell this and that, do you think sponsors are more apt to go after an influencer or go after the competitor
That
to
can go
sell their
either
brand?
way, honestly, and
Mhm.
it's. I don't. It can go either way because I mean I know some influencers that again they've never stepped on stage. I know people that have
Mhm.
never competed, but they post fitness this, fitness that, post their
Right.
workouts, and they have all kinds of sponsors. Maybe more than the Olympian or whatever. But I mean, it
Yeah.
goes back and forth. Like I said, I'm not a good content creator. I'm gonna be honest. So
Mhm.
any follower I have is has been
It's
hard earned.
genuine, but it's
Like
genuine, and
yes,
that's
it
the
is.
whole
It's
thing
because but
about it.
I'm not
It's
out there. Like
real.
I've seen people at the gym. I'm like, dude, he
Right.
changed his shirt 3 times to do the same workout. He recording for a week.
Oh,
Like, yeah, then he splashed water on his face. Like he's sweating. He can't even sweat. Like he done made that.
yeah,
I just watched you do this. So like certain stuff, I'm just like, okay, and that's why I don't
yeah,
record enough because I don't have that kind of time. I don't even have that
yeah.
kind of
Because
time.
you're not in there. You're not in there working out. You in there
Right. I'm
making
trying not to die
videos and
on these
everything.
legs. It's just
Then when
it's
they get on their
ridiculous.
stage, it's like, oh, okay. So
Yeah. So I mean, but it gets, and it's one of those things. It's too. It's like, is it a little like, oh, come on, like, why would just because they're influencer and they're not really doing this,
right.
but they found a way to capitalize on it. So I can't even be mad at that. To be honest, I can't even be mad
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah,
So
you can't, but I mean, it just
yeah,
is what it is at the end of the
yeah,
day. It's sort of
hmm
hilarious because the dangerous part is the people that actually follow them. They're
right,
trying to do what they're saying doing, and they're not a trainer, they're not
right,
a coach, and they do
right.
something next thing you know, you got something bad happens.
And that does happen, and that's unfortunate. And they don't really take ownership because they don't really care. Like it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that definitely does happen. That's unfortunate. Yeah.
And you look at what recently happened at the Arnolds, the girl who passed away, she's 20 years old. She was
Yeah.
listed as a trainer, and it's like, she followed and did something, that someone talked her into doing, coach or whatever, and then you're at a fitness show. You're not
Right.
in comp, you're not in prep, but you want to look so good that you're gonna go and do this and that just so you can walk around the expo and like, oh, look at
Right.
me. And,
Yeah.
it,
I
and
mean,
it's sad.
and that to
20
me,
years old.
that's unfortunate. That was, and I thought
Yeah.
that was sad. And I've talked to some people about that. And I'm like, oh my god, I remember being young, and I'm like, yeah, I've had some close calls, and I could have been on the other end because I took too much of this and too
Right.
much of that. And unfortunately, it didn't go that way. But at the same time, it's like, come on, just to walk around the expo, like it's but I said that, and I don't think, but it's unfortunate because I think it goes beyond that. I think there's always deeper stuff other than that. So I feel
Right.
like, and there's a lot of
Right.
that goes on in bodybuilding that we don't talk about, or us wanting to always look a certain way, because that's what you see on Instagram. So when you see me in person, then you still want to exhibit that same image, whether you're in season or not. And as a coach, and you're walking around at the Arnold, I mean, yeah, you want to
Hmm.
have a certain look, which I get, and I get that's what we have to live up to. Like no
Right.
one really wants to see me out of shape. They want me to still
No.
keep a certain,
Yeah,
look.
yeah, yeah. I can get that. But
Yeah.
then at the
So,
same time, people got to see you real too. Hey, I'm
yes.
not in prep. This is what I look like.
Right. Right.
And
But that takes a certain level of growing up, especially when you're in this sport. It's we've
right.
talked about that. Like this sport will eat you up if you allow it. And there was a point where
Hmm.
I thought I had to look a certain way at all times. Or again, over the years, I've learned how to have a good off season. And yes, you want to gain weight, but gaining too much weight, you still got to lose that when the season starts. So you
Right.
really got to learn to find a balance, and that happens over time. So like I'm not afraid to post my off season pictures. I mean, I'm proud
Right.
of how I look in off season because I've learned what my body needs and what it wants and what is required of it. So to keep a certain look and to still gain muscle, not fat, because you can have your weight go up and have it really be muscle. If I gain 6 or 7 pounds in the off season and 5 of those are muscle, I've done what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
So yeah, you just got to find a balance, and we still struggle with that. And I mean, the younger competitors have definitely struggled with that because I did too when I
Hmm.
was first competing.
But the people that you're training that are watching you, that are really trying to get in the game, they got to see what's real. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
comes back to how do you pick a coach, how do you pick a trainer, and you
Hmm.
pick the wrong person, and because
Yeah.
there's everybody's got to get it right now. I got to be a
Hmm.
pro right now. I got to do this right
Right.
now, and it's like there's no ending period on it. That's why you see so many athletes um, towards what people would think they're in. They got that muscle maturity and they're kicking ass and everything else, and then
Hmm.
everybody because you push so hard in the young, you're fading. So especially on the
Hmm.
guys, but
Yeah.
see. So
The
I was
muscle
at the
maturity
Arnold's.
comes in time. It really does. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, my very first show ever, I was 113 pounds. I'm going to step on stage in the 170s and be lean and be in
Hmm.
shape and be contest ready at 170 pounds. That takes time. And trust me, it did not happen overnight. Like, I'm a hard gainer. This took forever. So like,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things. It does take time. And the same thing with your training technique and really just learning to make
Hmm.
that mind muscle connection. Like, I don't really have to lift super, super heavy. It's really about making that connection too. So I'm not trying to
Right.
throw my back out trying to squat 3 or 4 plates. That's just not, my knees don't really like that, but it's not necessary. It's just not necessary. You learn what works for your body for sure.
Yeah.
So
But I was gonna say why, you do need at one point you need to pick one or the other. Either you're a bodybuilder or you're a power lifter, but you go back and forth, back and forth. Well, if I'm gonna go do a powerlifting event, or if I'm gonna go do a bodybuilding event. Is that wear and tear on the body? Is that smart, or does
I
it
mean, it
matter that
depends. I
you
feel like
learn
a lot of
to
people come over that are powerlifters come over to bodybuilding, and they just have
do
that there's a different type of muscle when you power lift first. I feel like
Right.
if you've been doing that for years and you've been lifting that kind of weight, so then when you start to strip that down, I mean, you have a certain look. So I mean, some people, and again, everyone's different. Like I can't run marathons; my knees don't really like that kind of stuff either. So I'm not going to do that in
Right.
my bodybuilding off season either. So everyone kind of does their own thing. Some people, they can power lift and kind of flip flop back and forth. Or I've seen competitors that that they might not compete for a year and a half just to focus on
Right.
one or the other. So I mean, I guess it kind of depends on your body and what your recovery is like, and what you enjoy doing. I like bodybuilding. Some people like powerlifting. I
Yeah.
tried it at one point. It wasn't really my thing. I was just like, okay. I mean, it was cool to
Yeah.
try, and I went to a few meets and everything, and did some stuff, but it just wasn't. I didn't feel the same.
Right.
So
So I was at the Arnold's, I was going to say, and what a mass of humanity at the expo and walking around. I mean, and you saw it. And every started was somebody. There was foosball. I mean, the Arnold's had everything. And so it's basically like a networking event. I look at it as basically versus a competition, but a half a million is a half a million. So hopefully the money can get up with the women's as well. So I ran into Michelle Brent, and she spoke highly of you. And the last time y'all competed at the Masters, and she mentioned that she's getting ready but didn't know. But she's got some great jewelry, and you talk about the entrepreneur part of it. Her booth was nonstop.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
glad to talk to them on Thursday, just before it got, and then it was like the afternoon just came a rush. Well, during the week, everybody's at work and in school, but
Mm-hmm.
then it was just nuts. And then on Saturday, especially, like golly, but
That's awesome.
she's got it going on,
No,
and
I'm
that's
happy
good
for her.
stuff.
I'm really happy for her. Yeah, she reached out to me and she's been rocking with me the last couple years actually. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
awesome. She really is. And I hope she goes to Tokyo. I said I was gonna message her too. I'm like, are you in or not? Like, I really hope she gets in.
Well, we're gonna
And
we're
she
gonna
will. She
find
will.
out on
She
Friday
yeah.
because I'll have her on the podcast, and I'm gonna ask her
Awesome.
for sure. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to get the double, I think Jessica Reyes Padilla is doing the Masters as well.
Mm-hmm.
She wants that title to be Miss Masters Olympia and Miss Olympia. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
But
looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great show. It's gonna be an awesome show. I mean,
yeah,
the first one was, so this should be
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it should be awesome.
And as a fan, we want to see you on every show. I definitely hope we see you before. I can't go to Japan. I'm just gonna tell you, I love you. I can't make it to Japan.
I told my coach, I was like, let's see, like because we actually we do check-ins every Saturday. So
Right.
we just had our check-ins. We made it official. 2 weeks from 2 weeks from Saturday, we'll start our prep. We'll start our first official check-ins, and we'll go from there. Like I am. I'm really looking forward
Yeah.
to see how everything once we peel everything back and see what we're working with. So yeah, this should be a good look. It's be a very, very good look.
And every year is different,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Every year takes on its own narrative and theme, and so just have to
Yeah.
see it's early.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see as it kicks off with the Triple O Dynasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always appreciate talking to you.
Awesome.
Any last words or anything you want to put out there? Reshanna's back in 2025.
I am back. I never really left. So, you will see me in Japan. You may or may not see me before then, but you will see me in Japan for certain. I'm the best off season thus far. I feel good. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I'm looking forward to the season. Definitely looking forward to the season.
Are you going to be attending any posing seminars out and about? Or you just
I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I do have a couple of some mini trips planned before Tokyo. I am going to go see my posing coach, Sharonica. We actually have to work on our new routine.
Yep.
So I'm going to get out there early so I can learn that. I'm going to go see Eric. I'm going to stay out there for the weekend, and we're going to just train together closer to Tokyo. But I'm going to go out there and stay with him for a bit for a weekend. And so I got a couple trips planned. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say you got a great team behind you as you always have had. And Reshanna, it's been great watching. I hope you continue on. Who knows what this year is going to bring?
Yes.
Sharonica, number 3 in the world. I mean, when I think back,
and shout out to her, man. She's really been rocking with me and putting the routine together. And super patient. So I'm going to go fly out there and stay with her for the weekend to learn the routine. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, should be fun.
It's been amazing to watch. So we're looking forward to seeing you this year.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Right.
Yep. Always. Take
Bye
care.
now.
Reshanna Boswell on her way to Japan for the Masters of Miss Olympia. Hopefully hopefully you do a show before that, because as a fan you always want to see everybody all the time. If we had our way, I'm just a fan and photographer, so I don't judge. I don't have to comparison anything. So you want to see them all the time. And the biggest thing about it is impolite to stare. So I want to take the photos. Coming up on Friday, Michelle Brent, as I alluded to earlier, will be on the Amazon's podcast. So stay tuned for that. Looking forward to talking to her. Brent's Bling Jewelry. Check out her website. She's got some great stuff out there. I will see you soon. Looking forward to seeing you on Friday, as well as Wellness Wednesday. We'll return next week as well. Until then, celebrate the female physique. Thanks to all the new subscribers, to the YouTube channel, to the website, on the magazine, and all those that have purchased the magazine. So when you do more, we can do more. And we will see you next time.